a tale of two halves for Ole Miss last year. The Rebels started the year 7-0 and rose as high as number 7 in the country, but finished the year 1-5, including a 17-point loss to Texas Tech in their bowl game. Per usual, the Rebels are loaded with talent heading into 2023, but the question is, can they bounce back from such a disappointing finish in 2022? So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today, ready to break down everything you need to know about the Ole Miss Rebels. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 5 years. So if you want guaranteed winnings this season, we are the place for you. If you want guaranteed money this season, this is the place for you. Go sign up for those picks today. Check out our Patreon account as well. Exclusive college football content there year-round. Become a member of our Patreon Wall of Fame. And of course, check out our mailing address down in the description below. Send us some gear. Send us some of your team's gear to be represented in every single Gridiron Expert video, whether that's Ole Miss or somebody else. We'd love to continue to expand our GE Nation from coast to coast. So let's take a look at the Rebels, guys. You know, we knew last year going into the season, right? The first half of their schedule was so easy. That was what led to their 7-0 start. If you go back and look, their best win in the first 7 games was against Troy or Kentucky. Those were the only 2 teams that they beat last year with a winning record, Troy and Kentucky. They then went on to lose to LSU, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and then Texas Tech in the bowl game. But again, that just shows you how favorable those first 7 games were. When you're beating up on guys like, Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech and guys like that, it doesn't really say all that much. So 8-5 for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels last year, but this year they have a chance to improve on that win total. Why? Because Lane Kiffin's the portal king, or at least so they call him. The offense is loaded per usual. 33.5 points per game last year, averaging 500 yards per game, including 257 on the ground. Quinshon Judkins is one of, if not the best running back in the SEC. I think it's a battle between him and Rocket Sanders over at Arkansas. But regardless, Judkins is one of the best running backs in the entire country, rushing for over 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns last year as a freshman. It's amazing. Has a chance to be even better this season. 9 starters as a whole are back offensively. You've got Judkins leading the way. It's going to be a very run-heavy team. But Jackson Dart does return at quarterback, and they added Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State. Threw for nearly 10,000 yards during his time with the Cowboys. 41 starts over in the Big 12. 67 touchdowns, but had some turnover issues. 40 interceptions with Oklahoma State. But, this again, Rebels defense should be solid from top to bottom, and whoever's at quarterback is going to have a great wide receiver core. They lose their top 2 pass catchers, sure, but they add Zachary Franklin in from UTSA, a very underrated transfer people aren't talking nearly enough about. Over 3,300 reception yards in 4 years with the Roadrunners. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. This Ole Miss offense is going to be just fine. Defensively, 7 starters are back. Pete Golding in as defensive coordinator, coming over from Alabama. Allowed 25.5 points per game last year, 168 rushing yards per game. That's really the biggest concern, is finding a way to slow down opponent rushing attacks. But regardless, I do feel like this defense as a whole is going to be fine. I mean, with as much starters coming back, with the secondary being pretty solid enough as it is, 220 passing yards allowed last year. It's not a bad mark at all. They had 35 sacks up front. This Ole Miss defense, wasn't a world beater by any means, but they're not bad and have a chance to take a little bit of a step forward, especially with Golding calling the shots. So you take a look at Ole Miss's schedule. It's a little bit different, right? Like, you look at those first couple games, those first 6 games, and it's not like, oh, they're going to start 6-0. Kind of like last year where we all felt very confident that would be the case. It's a much tougher schedule. They start 1-0 with a win over Mercer, and then on the road to Tulane right after that. It's like, whoa, hey, this isn't going to be easy. This isn't, Troy. This isn't UCA. This isn't Georgia Tech, which they play Georgia Tech later. It's Tulane, who won the Cotton Bowl last year at 12-2, finished the season ranked in the top 10, and very well could be a top 25 team to start this year. It's a Tulane team that returns their star quarterback and Michael Pratt, a Tulane team that returns 8 starters on defense. This is a good team, and they're going to love nothing more than the opportunity to take down a top 25 Ole Miss team at their house. This is a fun, sneaky, good game, and one that Ole Miss very well could lose. But I don't think they will. Why? Michael Pratt does return for Tulane, yes, but he does lose Tyjae Spears at running back. He loses his top 2 pass catchers, and the defense gave up 152 rushing yards per game last year. I think the Ole Miss offensive line opens up a lot of lanes for Quinshon Judkins. It's a close game, but Ole Miss gets the win over Tulane. Can't sleep on the green wave, though. Not a chance. We got a lot of Tulane gear back here. Watch out for Tulane again. Very well could repeat as a New Year's Six bowl representative. They go back home and take on Georgia Tech. They won 42-0 last year. Georgia Tech's going to go through some more growing pains. Should improve a little bit with Brent Key now as the head coach, but not enough to beat Ole Miss. So the Rebels are 3-0. Then they go on the road to Alabama. Really, this next three-game stretch is tough. Bama and LSU, the top two teams in the West, and then Arkansas. Ole Miss and Arkansas typically has some fantastic matchups. I do think they lose to Alabama. I don't think there's much to say about that one. Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban, always entertaining, should be intriguing. But this game in Tuscaloosa, going to be a very, very, very difficult place to play as per usual. This Alabama defense is really, really good. The secondary is going to be one of the best in the country, which means you're going to have to run the ball to win this game. Can Ole Miss do that? 100%. But you would be crazy to think that Nick Saban isn't going to find a way to shut down Quinshon Judkins, the best player on the Ole Miss team this year. You take him out of the equation, I don't think the Ole Miss offense gets much going this year. The Rebels only lost 30-24 to Alabama last year. Had a shot to win the game, getting down to the 20-yard line before turning the ball over on downs. But I do think Alabama wins the game in Tuscaloosa. Ole Miss 3-1. Make them 3-2 with a loss to LSU. They lost the Tigers 45-20 on the road last year. That was the beginning of the end, right? Ole Miss was 7-0, top 10 team in the country, strolling to Death Valley, lead 17-3. You're looking good, and then after that 17-3 lead, you were outscored 42-3 the rest of the way. LSU, again, winning 45-20. The Rebels defense giving up 500 yards to the Tigers, and they very well could do that again this year. LSU's loaded, guys. Jaden Daniels is back. Great passer, takes great care of the ball, great runner as well. All their other running backs return. Their top wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, is back. I mean, this is a good LSU team, that defense. Don't even get me started on how good the Tigers are going to be defensively on all three levels. So yes, Ole Miss has home field advantage. Yes, I could see this being a trap game for LSU. Yes, I do think this game is closer than the 25-point game we saw last year. But no, I don't think the Rebels can get revenge over LSU. The Tigers are just that dang good. So Ole Miss drops to 3-2 and then takes on Arkansas at home in a game, in a series, where 5 of the last 8 meetings have been decided by one possession, including 2 years ago in Oxford, where the game came down literally to the last play of the game when time expired. Arkansas scored a touchdown as time expired, chose to go for 2 for the win, didn't get it. Ole Miss escaped with a 52-51 victory. Last year in Fayetteville, Arkansas ran all over Ole Miss, literally. Won the game 42-27, led 42-6 at one point. Ole Miss allowed 503 yards of offense. The defense was terrible. But what's more interesting to me is Ole Miss became the first team since 2000 to have over 700 yards of offense but fail to eclipse 30 points. Rebels had 703 yards of offense but didn't even hit 30 points. They were turning the ball over left and right. Obviously, Arkansas could not be stopped offensively. It just was a great day for the Razorbacks and a rough day to be a Rebel. This year, though, in Oxford, I like Ole Miss. A battle between two of the better running backs in the country, like we mentioned, in Quinshon Judkins and Rocket Sanders. Those two guys are going to go at it more so than the quarterbacks are going to go at it. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But I like Ole Miss at home. And I like Ole Miss's defense a little bit more than Arkansas's right now. The Razorbacks had one of the worst defenses in the country last year. Will they be better? 100%. Do they have enough to beat Ole Miss on the road? I don't think so. I think we have another one-possession game here. It's going to be similar, I think, to the 2021 meeting. But Ole Miss snaps their 2-game skid. They're 4-2 heading into their bye week. And then to me, the schedule lightens up. It really does. I think they win their next 2 games over Auburn and Vanderbilt coming out of the bye week. The Auburn game, of course, will be the Hugh Freeze Bowl, right? That's exciting. It's an intriguing storyline. That's all we'll be talking about that weekend, although October 21st, third Saturday in October, a lot of big games going on. But you look at Auburn, right? The Hugh Freeze factor plays a role here. But if you're just looking at the talent on the field, Ole Miss owns the edge on both offense and defense. They certainly own the edge offensively. They've got a proven quarterback. They've got a great running back. They've got a solid offensive line. I know Auburn returned 17 starters and that the Tigers would love nothing more than to beat Ole Miss. Hugh Freeze would love nothing more than to beat his former team. They've got home field advantage and all that. But Ole Miss owns the drastic offensive edge in my eyes. Auburn's defense gave up nearly 30 points per game last year. Do they improve? 100%. Do they improve enough to slow down this Quinshon Judkins-led team? An Ole Miss team that rushed for over 448 yards last year against the Tigers in their 14-point victory? They haven't improved that much. Ole Miss comes off the week of rest. Auburn comes off a very physical game against LSU. I like Ole Miss a lot in this game. So they not cruise past Auburn, but they beat Auburn. They cruise past Vanderbilt. Should take care of business, even though they trailed Vanderbilt by 3 at halftime last year. They ultimately won 52-28. Then they go on the road, then they take on Texas A&M. I got ahead of myself. Go take on Texas A&M. This is a fun, intriguing game too. One where it's like, these two teams to me are very, very even. Offensively, right now, Ole Miss owns that edge. But by November 4th, A&M could own the edge or be on the same level if Bobby Petrino works out in College Station. A&M returns Connor Weidman, their top 4 pass catchers. They got a great offensive line. This offense is going to be phenomenal for the Aggies. The defense was great last year, but what was the Achilles heel for Texas A&M defensively last year? It was stopping the run. The Aggies gave up 209 rushing yards per game. 209 rushing yards per game. Ole Miss against A&M last year when they won 31-28 in College Station had 390 rushing yards. 390 rushing yards. This game's going to be close, but I don't think the Aggies' rushing defense improves by that much. Judkins has a big day. It's going to open up the passing game for whoever's at quarterback. The Rebels at home defend home field in a close one-possession game against an A&M team that will be maybe in contention for an SEC title this year. Ole Miss had the chance to ruin those on November 4th. They beat the Aggies, lose to Georgia. First meeting between Lane Kiffin and Kirby Smart. That's going to be fun. Two guys that served on the staff at the same time with Nick Saban at Alabama. That's an intriguing storyline. But this Georgia team, guys, I don't know if anybody can beat them. The offense is going to be phenomenal. The defense is going to be one of the best in the country, per usual. It's in Athens. I just don't see any way that Ole Miss can go in there and win this game. I love the clash of styles, the offensive mind of Lane Kiffin, the defensive mind of Kirby Smart. That's going to be awesome. But Georgia will win this game at home. The Rebels bounce back. They beat ULM. No questions there. And then you have the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving. At this point, Ole Miss already has 8 wins. So they have really matched last year's win total in the regular season, which is great. You beat Mississippi State. You exceed it. You lose. You have a chance to exceed that win total in your bowl game. Intriguing game here, certainly. They lost to Mississippi State last year, 24-22. Ended up being Mike Leach's last game with the Bulldogs, with little did we know, unfortunately. But you look at this game, right? You know, Mississippi State, many of you are going to say they're not going to be that great. Zach Arnett's the new head coach. They're going to go through some growing pains. They still got a lot of talent. 8 starters back on offense. The best passer in Mississippi State history, Will Rogers, is back at quarterback. Jaquavius Marks is back at running back. The defense under Zach Arnett has always been very salty. And where have they been salty? They've been salty on stopping the run. They've been really, really good at stopping the run over these last few years under Zach Arnett, and now he's the head coach. You look at this game, it's Thanksgiving night in Starkville. Everybody gets up for the rivalry game, but who has more to play for at this point? Sure, Ole Miss wants revenge, no doubt about it. But Mississippi State, bowl eligibility could be on the line on Thanksgiving night. They've got home field advantage. They're going to have, to me, a little bit more to play for, more incentive to play for, other than it just being the rivalry game in and of itself. I like the Bulldogs to pull off this upset in Starkville. It's going to be a close game, but to me right now, Mississippi State, if they can keep airing it out, owns the passing edge. Ole Miss owns the rushing edge, no doubt about it. Defensively, these two teams are about even. Mississippi State gets home field advantage. Give me the Dogs to pull off the upset win in the Egg Bowl and maybe clinch bowl eligibility. Maybe they have it beforehand. You'll find out later today. But with that, Ole Miss finishes the year at 8-4. The exact same regular season record they had last year, but in a way, it almost feels like a better year, right? It's heartbreaking to go from 7-0, top 10 team, having playoff aspirations, to finishing 1-5 and laying a massive egg in the Egg Bowl and the bowl game. This year, you're 4-2 coming out of the bye week. Then you win 3 straight games, so you're 7-2. So many would say, oh, that's heartbreaking to go from 7-2 and finishing only 8-4. But keep in mind, 2 of those final 3 games are on the road. One of them is against the reigning national champions. I think 8-4 is a fantastic mark. Maybe they can get to 9-3. Maybe they snag an upset against LSU. Maybe they beat Mississippi State. But 9-3 for Ole Miss this year is the max. The ceiling for the Rebels this year is 9-3. I like them more 8-4. But regardless, another solid year in Oxford, another phenomenal offense in Oxford, and the Rebels will be going to a decent bowl game with a shot to clinch a 9-win season. So once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below, our expert picks. Over on our website, thegridironexpert.com, our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round, our mailing address. Send us some gear, whether it's Hotty Toddy, Ole Miss, any other SEC team, your team. Send us some gear to be represented in every single Gridiron Expert video. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.